Welcome to the Good Place Marionville podcast, dedicated to highlighting the good right here in Marionville, Missouri. There are many things that make up the town of Marionville, but a couple of them that really come to my mind are churches and festivals. When you think about small town, you think about the importance of those things as pillars in a community. Well, today's guest is no stranger to either one of those ideas. And so I just want to welcome you, Pastor John Conn. You lead the congregation at Marionville's Church of the Nazarene, and you've been a long-standing member also of the Apple Fest Committee. So I'm really excited to get to the community to hear from you a little bit today and share from your heart. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for letting me be here.
This
is new for me.
I know it is. So just pretend like you and I are just sitting here having a cup of coffee and everybody else is just listening in, okay?
All right.
All righty. So let's talk about first just getting to know your family. Tell me about who your wife, your kids, grandkids, all those important things.
Well, I'm married to Barbara Jean. She moved here from California in 1983, and we met and we got married in 1983. And 83. That's right. I better get that right. But we've been married 41 years. We've got two children, Marcella and Jonathan, and we have four grandchildren, Audria, Michael, Rowan, and Maddox.
Awesome. And you get to spend time with your grandkids, don't you?
Yes. We didn't get to so much with the older ones, but we do try to, now that I'm retired from the secular world more, I get to spend at least a night or two every other week with our grandsons.
Okay, so tell me about that. So you just said, now that I'm kind of retired from the secular world, tell us about your career path that led you to where you are today.
Well, I usually use this as my testimony. I've always felt the call of the Lord on my life, and even when I was younger. And when the Lord saved me 41 years ago, actually, I married Barbara. Here's what we had to do.
Okay.
I met Barbara. I got saved. I was baptized, I joined the church, and then she married me. And I've been serving the Lord in the church ever since. We started off just doing a lot of singing around together, and then I began to feel the call to be a pastor. And I've been at our church now 28 years. We've started our 29th year at the church. And so,
all 29 years here in Marionville.
Yes. I tell people I've never lived anywhere but Lawrence County.
Okay.
I jokingly say I can't get away because I've got this ankle bracelet on, but that's not the truth. I don't have an ankle bracelet. But we have, so I volunteer as a chaplain at the Mercy Hospital, work with Apple Fest, work with the Ministerial Alliance. We hold a service once a week or once a month at the Manor and one also at the Aurora Nursing Home.
Wow.
And so we stay very, very busy, very active. And God's been good to us. We're just blessed to have so many friends and so many people in our lives that have made a difference in our lives. And so we thank that.
That's so good. So I have a question then, because a lot of people, they're like, okay, all my life growing up, I knew I wanted to be XYZ. Well, that probably wasn't your plan then if you didn't get saved until
I was 29.
Okay. So what did you do to support Barbara when you first got married?
Well, actually,
how did she support you? Maybe I'm not sure what. I know she was a teacher, right?
Actually, when I was a teenager, I worked for the newspaper, the Aurora Advertiser, from the time I was 13 till I was 25. And then I worked a year for the shoe factory. Then I worked a year at for Kentucky Fried Chicken. I was going to be in management, and that didn't work out. And I worked at Pizza Hut, but I came back to the Advertiser, and then I had an opportunity to go to an auto parts store. It was Lidl's Auto Supply in Aurora, CarQuest, and I worked there for 38 years. And so I've always had a job in Lawrence County. I've always lived in Aurora or supported it, worked there.
Yep.
So I've just we did that, and Barbara worked at the St. Vincent's Hospital. At Monette for a little while. Then she became a babysat for some kids, and then she went to college and got her teaching degree. So she's just been always active also.
Right. Okay. So if I do the math, I know you're not like 120 years old. So it wasn't that all of those jobs were in sequence, right? You were what some people might call a bivocational pastor. Okay, so talk about that for a minute because I think that's pretty important to how you get to see life.
It actually, a friend of mine who became a full-time pastor. We talked a little bit about that, and I was bivocational. And he said, I'm jealous of you, John, because I'm no longer in the workplace and I don't see the real people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at it a little different than others. I was able to rub elbows with a lot of individuals
Mm-hmm.
through the store. And I've always had a lot of people that I've touched base with. And so I kind of, well, but I'm still involved.
Yeah.
So I'm still highly involved. In fact,
you're just not getting a paycheck outside
right.
of that, right?
Yeah, that's true. But that's all right. The Lord has always supplied us and He has taken care of us, and we don't have any needs, and we've just got a lot of wants like everybody else. But God's been good to us. We're going to get to go in November to Hawaii on a work and witness team. People say, "Oh, that's awful." Well, somebody has to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. It may as well be you and Barbara.
But we're going to be building and cleaning up where the big fires were a year ago, and we're going to be helping to build some small homes there on the islands, and it's just going to be a great time. She's always wanted to go to Hawaii, and this is my excuse to go, and I get to do something.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I am 71, be going on 72 this year, so...
Well, congratulations on all of that. So I want to talk about your job as a pastor, your position as a pastor, and give us some of the highlights that make it every day when you get up and get out of bed and you're ready to go, because I know you're raring to go. You have a lot of energy behind the things that you do. What keeps you going?
Well, to me, I've always had a call to serve people. I've always felt the need to serve. And so I get up I still get up between 5 and 6 o'clock every morning. I go in there and get my coffee started and sit down with my Bible and the coffee and pray. And that takes up a good hour to 2 hours. And then I have a plan. Barbara will ask me the night before. She goes, "What are you going to do tomorrow?" I say, "Well, here's what my plans are." And during my time of prayer, a lot of times that changes. And so I just feel like there's always something, and there's always somebody that needs some help. Maybe it's just a tank of gas. Maybe it's just some food vouchers, or just somebody that you can talk with and pray with.
Well, because you've been a longtime pastor in this community, I've witnessed firsthand by talking to people in crisis or in different stages of life where you're their go-to. They may not come to your church on Sunday mornings. They may not sit in the pews, but they see you as their pastor. And that has to be a pretty rewarding place to be.
It is. It makes you feel like that your calling was right. And I'll share a real quick story. I was called to the hospital one time, and they were in the emergency room, and the police were there. And this lady was very fighting. In fact, they told me when I walked in, they said, "Don't get too close to her. She's already bitten one of the policemen." And
Wow.
so I just got down in a chair next to her, kind of eye level. And before the night was over, she was calmed down. They had to draw blood, and I helped them to get her calm. So I feel like sometimes, if nothing else, that's what the Lord wants me to be, is a calming effect. And I try to be that as much as possible.
Well, and sadly enough, a lot of people don't have someone that they can call in the middle of the night. You know, I've had people, I'm sure you've had plenty of calls in the middle of the night. Not that John is asking you to call him in the middle of the night, but he'll be there for you if that's a need. But, you know, that's such a question when you're talking to people. It's like, who would you call if you really needed somebody? And a lot of people don't know who that would be. And I've heard your name come up more than once as that pastor figure that they trust and that they rely upon. You've given a lot of stability, I think, to people.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That just kind of helps me to realize that maybe I'm not spinning my wheels.
You're not. Well, you might feel like you're spinning your wheels, but you know what you just said at the beginning about how you start your day and allowing asking God to change course for you when you need it, or when somebody's need arises that's different than what you had anticipated. Being flexible and open to that is a big part of that.
Yes.
So I want to spend a few minutes talking about something very unique here in Marionville that you are involved in, that I think a lot of towns probably should have. I have seen over the years where churches, for some reason, feel like they compete. Like, well, if I get too close to, if we open our doors to everybody, then maybe those members are going to go to a different church, or, they're fighting for that membership. But in Marionville, we have something called the Marionville Ministerial Alliance. I want you to talk about that for a minute and tell us about what it is. I don't know if you know the actual history, like did you help start it? Was it there before you?
It was there before me.
Okay.
I was, when I joined in, of course, there was a lot of new pastors. In fact, every church had a different pastor. I'm probably the oldest one now in the churches, but
or at least the longest one.
The longest one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're the oldest or not.
Jim's older than I am.
Oh, okay.
But not
Shout
much.
out to you, Jim Gearhold.
But when I started in with that, we have always had such a great group of pastors, and you said something that we're kind of competing, and you're afraid. But I have always said I'm thrilled with our leadership because we're not in competition. We're in cooperation together, and we work with each other, and we pray for each other. And I'll just share real quick. I was sitting in Alice Irene's one day by myself. I'd just gone in there for breakfast.
Wait, you're allowed to do that? You don't have to be there for a meeting?
No.
Anything? You can just go eat.
And Brad Wells, he owns it. He's the pastor at Shiloh.
Yes.
He comes walking out from behind the kitchen, out of the kitchen. He goes, I just felt led to come and pray for you. And he laid his hands on my shoulder and prayed for me. And we said a few words, and then he went on back to the kitchen. And that's the kind of fellowship we have with the Ministerial Alliance. We're not in competition. We're brothers, and we pray for each other, and we lift each other. Jim's getting ready to go in for hip surgery, and I know that's devastating for him, but he's just surrounded by prayers from all the other ministerial pastors. And the Ministerial Alliance is just a great group. We try to do part of the Christmas programs. We try to make sure that the children have gifts and food, and we work with the schools. And in fact, I want to give a shout out to Jamie Bella. She is a blessing. Oh my goodness, she has helped us so many ways. And if I go too far, and Diana Mitchell out at the high school works with the students for baccalaureate, and they're just a blessing, and I just love them like they're my own kids, and I'm old enough to be their dads.
That's so awesome. But that's the cool thing about that I love, and I really want to focus on this with this conversation around the Ministerial Alliance, is that you all come together. You all meet the needs of people within your own congregation, spiritual, physical, whatever that might be. But you're looking this is me watching you. You're looking outside of that and saying, how can we serve the community? How can we come together in cooperation to help the community as a whole? I've seen you do the City of Hope. You guys do the community service at Apple Fest that's been resurrected or started or whatever.
That just got started.
Okay. And then now, Good Friday service.
Oh, my goodness. Good Friday. Easter is my holiday, my Christian holiday. It is mine. I just love it because, as our church always says, Jesus didn't die on the cross for everybody. He died on the cross for me personally. We all take it very personal in our church. And I just love the Good Friday service. We get together at the First United Methodist Church, and we join together, and we just have a great time of celebration. And they asked this year if it was my turn, we try to rotate all the pastors so they all get a chance. And
to preach,
yes. Okay. And it came to me this time. And as I was reading the scriptures about Jesus on the cross, I just couldn't help but the title of the message is At the Foot of the Cross. And it's a sad night, but yet the victory comes when Jesus is resurrected on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And that is such a joyous time, because if he had not died and rose again, then it would just been another funeral.
Okay, so put an invite out there to all the community that's listening right now and for them to share with others.
We're going to have the Good Friday service at the First United Methodist Church. It will be at 6 o'clock. There will be music. There will be prayers and a message. I hope it's good. But, come together with the spirit that Jesus died for you, and what he's done clears the way for all of us for eternity. And last year we saw a little increase, and would love to see the church just filled to overflowing, not because of me, but because of Jesus. And that's what it's all about. Can I say real quickly, when Barbara and I started singing together and doing a lot of concerts, and we've sang at some different things over the 41 years we've been married, I always start off with telling them, I said, I don't care if you remember Barbara and I or not, but I want you to remember who we sing about, and that's Jesus. And that's what Good Friday service is all about. It's about the redeeming power and the shed blood of Jesus Christ, and that's what it's all about.
And you couldn't have said that more beautifully. And I just want to encourage everybody to attend. Last year was our first time attending, we were in town, and it worked for us because we had not been in town the year previous when we moved here. But it was very moving, and it was very powerful that we were there with people from other churches in our community. Having the community come together and in unity recognize the significance of Good Friday. A lot of people don't like to go to Good Friday services because they kind of feel like it's a downer, but it's the remembrance of what Sunday's bringing.
Amen.
And it's a good preparation. So I hope to see you there. If you want somebody to sit with, just message me. I'd be happy to save you a seat in the pew with us. But thank you for sharing. Thank you.
There is an elevator on the west side of the building.
Yes.
Right off the parking lot. So you don't have to walk up any steps or stairs. Just go straight in there, and it brings you right up to the auditorium.
Good point. If you haven't been in there before, it's a beautiful auditorium as well. So you'll just be very delighted to be there and be welcomed by other people in the community. I'm grateful to the Ministerial Alliance for hosting that, for being consistent in that. If somebody's listening, John, and they don't think their pastor is involved in the Alliance, how can you help them encourage their pastors to get involved?
My phone number is out there everywhere.
And we'll put it in the show notes for you too.
Give me a call.
Okay.
And we have no requirements. We want you to come and be a part and join with us. There's no fees. A lot of towns, I understand, have a little fee or something, but you don't have to have any fee to be with a part of a bunch of gentlemen. And we used to have some lady pastors, and of course, right now we don't have any.
Sure.
But we love everybody, and I tell you what, everybody can be involved, and we've got something for you to do.
And even if they've been in the community for a while and they've not taken that step, it's not too late for them to join in.
That is exactly right. Yes.
I think that's a critical thing, because sometimes that's hard to bridge that, So if you think your pastor needs to know more about this because it's such an exciting thing, reach out to John Conn and he will hook you guys up.
Yes.
John, we're going to cover a little bit of community news, and then I'm going to talk with you about Apple Fest, because you have quite a history with that as well. So in school news, I got this from Greta. She said, a few weeks ago, we mentioned on the podcast that some high school students were going to participate in the Job Olympics at Branson High School. And this is only their second year participating, and they came away with 7 medals. So congratulations to all those kids that went. All of the opportunities that they were taking a part in help them to prepare themselves for lifelong skills that they can use after high school in the areas of hospitality, culinary, childcare, department store events, grocery industry, automotive details, and business events. So way to go, kids.
Amen.
Now, I know prom was this weekend. I didn't hear from anybody as far as any updates, how it went, but I trust a good time was had by all. And I know there's a lot of school sports that are in full gear, full motion for this spring. So again, kids, stay safe in all of the sports that you're doing, and parents, keep eating your protein so you can make it to all the games, because I know it's a lot. This episode of the Good Place Marionville podcast is sponsored by Todd Wright from Alpha Realty. I'll put his links to his contacts in the show notes. but Todd has a passion for all forms of real estate, whether it's commercial, agricultural, or residential. So thanks, Todd, for your work right here in Marionville and for supporting this podcast. On Saturday, the Marionville or the Ozark Methodist Manor had their citywide Easter egg hunt. I heard that hundreds of kids came out. They got to meet Sparky the Fire dog, and I know there was a lot of other things going on. It was a beautiful day. We're just so grateful to the Manor for hosting that. And also, at the end of this month, at April 29th at 2 p.m., the Manor is hosting a bed turning. And when I first heard this, John, I thought they were going to rotate mattresses or something. I thought, what in the world are they doing? But it's an old-fashioned bed turning where you can actually bring your quilt ahead of time with a written story about its history or why it was made. And they will take all the quilts and lay them out on one bed. And as they flip them, turning the bed, they will tell the story of that quilt. So if you have an heirloom or a very precious memory of something behind a quilt, you are invited to participate in that bed turning.
Barbara's got one of those.
Does she? I have quilters. My mom is an amazing quilter, and I'm going to check my calendar and see if I can get involved. So I will put the phone number for Renae in the show notes for everybody. I wanted to highlight that this last Thursday and Friday, we had our citywide cleanup day, and I checked in with Chris Bowling to see how we did, and we were short on our tonnage compared to last year, but I will tell you, there were 8 dumpsters, 40-yard dumpsters that equaled over 13 tons of garbage. So I know it's not a competition, but maybe next year we can, break some numbers. It just could be kind of fun. I wanted to say a huge shout out to the Marionville Business Connect volunteers and others that went out and helped people pick up their trash and get it to the dump that weren't able to do that on their own. Good job, everybody. Keep cleaning up those yards and getting rid of the things that are collecting and maybe even causing a hazard in your home by being in your way. In other news around town, the White Squirrel Community Garden is just about ready to get started. This is something that we're very excited about getting started in our town, but all good things take time. Yes. And year one is going to be a little bit small, but the location is going to be announced pretty soon. And the location, I have a link to the Facebook page so that you can keep track of the White Squirrel Garden and be able to see when they announce the location and getting ready to put everything in the ground. Many of you can get involved in many different ways over the next few weeks, so be sure to check out. There's a fabric Easter egg fundraiser for fencing. They're raising money specifically for fencing. You can go to Alice Irene's this week to learn more about that Easter egg fundraiser. And also the garden needs water, and they have totes for storing the water that have already been donated, but it's gravity fed. So that can be very laborious and take a lot of time. They actually have a wish list created on Amazon where you can make some purchases on behalf of the White Squirrel Community Garden and be able to help fund some of the pieces that need to be put together to make this a power system. So I'm going to put the link in there in the show notes for Amazon to the wish list as well. And this is a system that Amber and her husband have already created for their own home, and it works really well. So excited to see how all that comes together. Yes. And remember that, one of the big things about this is Amber's heart is to help feed our community and for people to learn how to feed their own families by growing a garden. So what a huge thing. Marionville Pride Home of the Month Awards is going to be back in May. And so this is the Curb Appeal Awards, and they are still needing sponsors. So the sponsorship, 100% of the prize goes to the homeowner who wins every month. So that Facebook link will be in the show notes as well. Everybody, I'm sure, is working anxiously awaiting for a frost-free promise so we can get things planted in our yards and get ready for this beautiful spring that we've already had, a lot of teasers. Jim and I were sitting on the porch last night thinking, okay, just a week ago we had some snow flurries, and then yesterday it was in the 80s. So it's pretty crazy. All right, John, Apple Fest.
Oh my.
There's so much we could talk about Applefest, and
Yes.
I know we've already been a little long-winded today, but that's okay. I think everybody's going to enjoy this. But this is the 36th year of
Yes.
Applefest. So you became pastor pretty early on in Applefest history, or was it after?
It was actually, I didn't begin working with Applefest. I've been there probably 10 years, 8 to 10 years.
Okay.
Or,
But it's been
oh,
around
yes.
for
Yeah.
36. So you've been around as well.
I
So-
I wanted to get we lost our contact with our church's ad in the booklet. We
okay.
And so I got to checking. I thought, well, nobody contacted me, and then I found out, well, they didn't have anybody working the booklet, and so
Mm.
I kind of volunteered, and next thing I know, I'm doing it, and so. But it's been good. Like I said, I used to work at the newspaper, so
Mhm.
I have some ad selling experience, but also in designing and layout. And so it just seemed natural, and we enjoyed it. And Barbara and I have sang, and we it's a good way to meet people. And you mentioned earlier that people know me. Well, my phone number is out there. I get phone calls from all kinds of people concerning everything. They
Mhm.
would call me and they would ask, "Well, how do I get an ad in the book, or how do I get a a booth space?"
Uh-huh.
And I would say, "Well, here's who you call," and I would put them to the person that they needed to get to.
Sure.
And so that's been really a benefit. And yeah, but we've always enjoyed it. And Barbara, she's they call her the ever ready bunny
Yeah.
because she just really gets going.
Yeah.
And
So she's been involved. So let's talk about that for a minute, because I know she's been in charge of the pageant for years,
yes,
contests, helping in all of the different contests, from pie eating to the golden delicious and the golden everything. I know there's a lot of different Apple awards out there, but she's really been involved in that. Has that been
yes,
as long as you've been doing the
oh
book? Did
yes.
you guys kind of are like Jim and I, do a lot of things as a team?
We do. And so everything that she would volunteer to do, I always got to help her with.
Yes.
And everything that I
You get
do,
voluntold.
yeah, and everything I get to do, she's always involved in, and we work together very well.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, after 41 years, we kind of know what each other's thinking, and so we just help each other go. The booklets has with Kathy Gerhold designs the last couple of years. They have become so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed with her abilities and her quality. And of course, with Jim and Gerhold and Ron Heald, he's been just a fantastic worker this year.
So
And
let's put a little plug in there. So if our Applefest website just got a little bit of a refresh, and there's still things being added, but if you go to marionvilleapplefest.com, you can find the information for what John's talking about. So if you have not been approached, it's not for lack of trying, because they have been reaching out to businesses, but we may not know about you. And the booklet is really designed to be that thing that you keep all year long as a resource to look at what businesses are in town or close by that are supporting the Apple Fest, that are promoting whatever they do, and that you can try to utilize, kind of like I wouldn't want to say a mini telephone book, but in a sense, it's a
it is.
resource guide.
I've used it.
Yeah.
I've gone to the booklet and keep it around,
Yes.
and I've actually called several of the different companies and used them at my own home and at our church. So
That's
it's a
awesome.
great resource.
It really is. It is a great resource. So, also on the website, there will be information. There is information about how to become a vendor if you want to have and you don't have to have a food truck to be a vendor. Like if you either want to promote your organization and, give something away, or have a sign up for a giveaway, or you do have a product that you sell. All of those things are, available and opportunities for you as a vendor. We do have fundraisers that are coming up this spring.
Yes.
John, why don't you tell people quickly why we do fundraisers? Because a lot of people don't understand really the heart behind how we do our festival that's different.
The festival is costly. Brad Wells did a little design the other day or last year, and it cost around $20,000 minimum to put on the Apple Fest festival, and that's booklets, that's all the everything, and so it's very costly. We do not charge for the carnival for the children. They get to ride the rides and do all the things for free, and so that's about a $5,000 to $6,000 right there, and we need the funds because we don't go out and beg. We ask people to contribute,
Right.
and so the fundraisers is what does that. It keeps the flow of money coming in, and it's a nonprofit. We don't make any money. Nobody gets paid to do any of this. It's just all strictly volunteer.
Right.
And we have got some new fantastic volunteers this year. They're just jumping in left and right, and we're so happy for the young blood. And so they're jumping in, taking a lot of things on, and that's why we need the fundraisers.
Yeah.
And they're a lot of fun, by the way. The paddle parties, and I know that they've got some new ones coming up. And when we get to go over to Alice Irene's for a night and he gives us part of the dividends, you should see that crew work. They keep that place spotless, and they make sure that everybody's drinks are filled, and it's just a wonderful time. We have a lot of fun.
I think that it's more than just a couple of days of the year. It actually goes throughout the year and is a bloodline for this community because of the things that happen through Apple Fest. I'm just going to highlight again this whole idea of kids get to come and not have to beg, like, can I have money for 2 tickets to ride a ride? There's nothing worse than taking your kids somewhere to have fun and having to say no.
Right.
And you don't have to say no because of finances for riding rides. And that really changes the culture of the whole event.
And even in the kids zones, you have to pay a little bit, but it's just quarters.
Right.
They keep it very, very minor, and Kathy Keinenbarger does a great job. She wanted me to help her paint faces, face painting, but I told her I use Krylon paint, and she wouldn't let me.
Parents wouldn't like that very much.
She wouldn't let me help her.
Alrighty, so I want to encourage everybody to follow the Marionville Apple Fest Facebook page, where we make announcements and highlights for things that are coming up. As it continues to get closer, we'll be able to tell you who vendors are and actual events that are happening, who's going to be entertaining, and of course, we're so grateful for Clayton every year for his support, and ending the whole festival with fireworks is a highlight for everyone.
Yes.
So, of course, you can tell we're kind of excited about it, and we hope that if you are interested in getting involved, you can reach out as well, and we would love to have you participate and add some more energy, some more carry it with us and be a part of the community in that way.
Yes.
I want to, John, is there anything else that you want to say regarding anything that's on your heart right now, or maybe just some good news?
Well, I've grown up in Lawrence County, like I said earlier, and I never dreamed that I would be pastoring in Marionville because we were competitors when we were kids. In fact, when I interviewed at the church, I told the board members, I said, I probably fought with some of your kids during school. Literally. But, I have just come to love this little community. The white squirrels, people say, I've never seen them. You just need to look for them. They're beautiful. They're fun. The people here in this community are wonderful. I love them all. And I just wish for the best for the community because it has so much. My dad worked here when he was young, when I was just a little boy. He worked at the shoe factory that was here, Jumping Jacks.
Yep.
And there was just so many things that I've seen Marionville grow, and I want to see it continue to grow. I'd love to see 3 or 4 more orchards come back in, but unfortunately, I'm a realist also. So, the community is great.
I just want to thank you for your pastoral role, not only but in the doors of your church, but in this whole community at large, for your involvement with the Ministerial Alliance and with the Apple Fest and the day-to-day, because that is where it makes a difference. And you have set that bar, and I just am grateful for that very much.
Thank you.
So thank you for being my guest today. And thanks also to the Bank of Billings for sponsoring today's podcast. Consider joining the Bank of Billings by becoming a sponsor for a month or a quarter or a season. You can contact us at goodplacemarionville@hotmail.com. You can also report good news by using that same email address, goodplacemarionville@hotmail.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified when each episode releases. Thank you for joining us for the Good Place Marionville podcast. Keep your eyes out for the good, and together, let's celebrate Marionville.
Thank you, Martha.